Look in the mirror right now. Not later, right now in your mind's eye. Picture the last time you did your eyeliner and looked in the mirror expecting to see sharp, awake, put together. And instead you saw tired. A little sad, even around the eyes, in a way you couldn't quite explain. You checked your skincare, you checked your sleep, you even wondered if it was just your face getting older and there was nothing to be done about it. Here's the truth nobody tells you. It's not your eyes that changed overnight. It's one tiny habit in how you're applying that liner. A habit so small and so automatic you've probably never once noticed you're doing it. And it is quietly dragging your whole face downward every single morning. By the end of this video, you're going to catch yourself doing at least 3 of these without even realizing it. And you're going to feel that little jolt of, oh, that's been me this whole time. I'm not talking about needing more makeup. I'm not talking about needing a 15-step routine, a new palette, or anything expensive at all. I'm talking about a handful of tiny corrections, the kind that take seconds, not skill, that instantly lift the eye right back up to where it used to sit. Stay with me because mistake number 4 is the one almost every single woman over 60 makes without knowing it, and it is by far the sneakiest one on this entire list. Welcome back to Elegant Beyond 60, the channel where we prove week after week that looking beautiful after 60 was never about spending more money. It was always about knowing more information. If this is your first time here, hello, truly, pull up a seat and get comfortable because you are exactly the woman this channel was built for. And if you've been here a while, you already know exactly how we do things. No gimmicks. No 50-step routines that take an hour before breakfast. Just simple, honest truths that actually work in real life. Today we're talking about eyeliner and specifically the quiet mistakes that make mature eyes look heavier, older, and more tired than they actually are. This topic is close to my heart because eyeliner is one of those things most of us learned once back in our 20s or 30s, in front of a bathroom mirror or from a magazine tear out, and then we just kept doing it exactly the same way for decades. Nobody ever sat us down and said, hey, as your eyes change, your technique needs to change with them. So that is exactly what we are doing today together. Before we get into it, if you're already sensing this is going to be a good one, do me a small favor and tap that subscribe button right now. It genuinely helps this small channel reach more women exactly like you. And it costs you nothing but a single second of your time. While your hand is already there, tap that like button too because it tells me precisely which topics you want to see more of. Alright, let's get into this, because mistake number 1 is probably sitting in your makeup bag at this very moment. I want you to start thinking about your eyeliner routine as a series of tiny signals you send your face every single morning. Every line you draw either lifts your eye or drags it down. There is no neutral option here, no in between. And the uncomfortable truth is that most of us have been sending the wrong signal for years, purely out of habit, purely because nobody ever told us the rules quietly changed underneath us. So let's go through this together, one mistake at a time, slowly enough that you can actually picture your own face as we go. Mistake number 1. Lining the whole lower lash line. This mistake feels completely natural, almost like finishing a sentence. You did the top lid, so of course you finished the look and line the bottom too, all the way from the inner corner to the outer corner, symmetrical and complete. Feels thorough. Feels like doing the job properly. Except here's what is actually happening beneath the surface. A full line along the lower lash line visually shortens the eye from end to end, and it pulls the entire eye shape downward and inward. On a younger, firmer lid where the skin sits high and tight, this barely registers, it just reads as defined. But on a mature eye where the skin around the eye has softened even slightly, that extra line along the bottom becomes the tipping point between looking awake and refreshed, and looking heavy and worn down. Think about it like this. Imagine 2 identical parentheses stacked on top of each other, pressing inward. That is what a full lower line does to an already softened eye shape. It closes the eye in from both directions at once. Try this instead. Only line the outer third of your lower lash line, starting from roughly where your pupil ends and continuing outward toward the corner. Keep the line soft, keep it smudged with a cotton swab or a small brush rather than sharp and defined, and leave the inner 2/3 completely bare. Or touch it only with the faintest hint of a soft shadow if you want a little something there. You will be genuinely surprised at how much lighter, brighter, and lifted your entire eye looks using far less product than before, not more. Mistake number 2. Drawing one thickness from start to finish. Here's a small question to ask yourself honestly. When you line your top lid, does the line stay exactly the same thickness the entire way across, from the inner corner all the way to the outer edge? If your honest answer is yes, this next part is almost certainly describing you. A single uniform line, especially a thick one, sits on top of the eye like a physical weight resting there. It doesn't taper, it doesn't build, it doesn't guide the eye anywhere. It simply presses down on the lid from corner to corner, and a mature lid, which already has slightly less natural elasticity holding it up, cannot fight against that weight the way it once could. Here's what changes everything. The eyes that read as youthful, alert, and naturally lifted almost always have a line that behaves like a whisper near the inner corner, and slowly grows into a confident statement only by the time it reaches the outer corner. Start your line thin, almost invisible, right near the tear duct. Barely more than a suggestion. Let it build gradually and naturally as you move outward along the lash line. Let it finish with just a touch more definition and thickness near the outer corner, where the lift actually matters most. That gradual build from thin to bold creates a lift the eye genuinely cannot create on its own anymore. And the beautiful part is that it uses roughly the same amount of product you're probably already applying every morning. It's not about using more. It's about placing exactly the same amount somewhere smarter. Mistake number 3. Going full black everywhere always. Let's clear something up immediately, because I don't want this one misunderstood. Black eyeliner is not the enemy here. Using it exactly the same way on exactly the same areas that you did 30 years ago, that is the actual problem. Skin tone and texture soften gradually with age, lash lines naturally lighten over time, and a hard, stark black line that once read as sharp and defined can suddenly start reading as harsh, heavy, or even slightly aging, especially along the lower lid, where the skin has always been the thinnest and most delicate part of the entire face. Here's a simple swap that so many women overlook completely, simply because nobody ever suggested it to them. Keep black eyeliner for your top lid if you love that classic definition and drama. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But switch to a soft charcoal gray, a deep warm brown, or even a rich aubergine along the bottom lash line instead. It still defines the eye beautifully, it still gives you that finished look, but it does so gently without that stark high contrast line that can unintentionally age the whole face. The eye ends up looking rested and soft instead of outlined and tired. Mistake number 4. Winging the line downward. And here it is, the one I promised you right at the very beginning, the sneakiest mistake on this entire list, and here is exactly why it earns that title. Nobody does this one on purpose. Not a single woman wakes up and decides, today I will draw my wing pointing downward to make myself look tired. It happens completely unconsciously, and here's the mechanism behind it. As the outer corner of the eye naturally softens and drops just slightly with age, a change so gradual you'd never notice it happening day to day, your hand, without any conscious decision at all, tends to follow that exact same downward path when you draw your wing. You are, quite literally, tracing the natural droop of your own eye, and then making it permanent and even more visible in makeup form every single day, without ever realizing that's what you're doing. The fix requires real, conscious effort the first several times you try it, but I promise you it becomes second nature surprisingly fast. Instead of following the natural corner of your eye downward, the direction your hand wants to go automatically, deliberately looks slightly upward and outward instead, aiming your wing toward the general direction of where your eyebrow ends. Even a subtle lift of just a few degrees, barely noticeable on its own, completely changes the story your eye is telling the world. It stops silently saying tired, and it starts saying awake, alert, and lifted. Okay, pause with me for just 1 second here. If mistake number 4 just made you get up and go check your own wing in the nearest mirror, I want you to comment below right now and tell me which number has surprised you the most so far. I promise you I read every single comment personally, and it genuinely helps me decide what to cover in future videos. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, now is the perfect moment to do it, because we still have 3 more mistakes coming up, including the one that almost everybody skips completely without ever realizing it's quietly aging their entire face. Alright, let's keep going together. Mistake number 5. Lining without lifting the lid. As lids gradually soften and gain a bit more texture over the years, a completely natural part of aging that every single one of us experiences, applying liner directly onto that slightly looser or slightly crepey skin can make your line come out shaky, uneven, or unexpectedly thicker in some spots than others, even when your hand is perfectly steady. Most women respond to this by simply pushing harder with the liner, or adding more product to try to compensate for the unevenness. Unfortunately, that almost always makes the shakiness and unevenness even more obvious, not less, because now there's more product sitting on an uneven surface. Here's a small trick that genuinely changes everything about your application. Before you draw your line, gently use one finger. Just your ring finger works perfectly because it applies naturally light pressure to pull the outer corner of your lid taut, ever so slightly toward your temple. This simple action smooths out the surface you're actually working on, giving you a cleaner, more even canvas to draw on. From there, apply your line using short, tiny, deliberate strokes rather than one long continuous sweep across the whole lid. Then release your finger once you're done. That one small adjustment alone can take a shaky, uneven line and transform it into something crisp and clean. Mistake number 6. Using the same shape you've used for 20 years. This particular mistake isn't really about technique at all. It's about awareness and specifically a lack of it. Our natural eye shape changes gradually as we age, often through subtle hooding developing at the outer corner, or a slight shift in where our natural crease sits. But because this change happens so slowly, gradually, over years rather than overnight, most of us never actually update our approach to match it. We simply keep drawing the exact same shape we drew back in our 30s onto an eye that has quietly, patiently changed underneath us the entire time. The fix here is really just simple curiosity applied consistently. Once every few months, take a few minutes to actually study your own eye shape in good, honest lighting, completely bare, with absolutely no liner on at all. Ask yourself genuinely, is there a bit more hooding at the outer corner than there used to be a few years ago? Has my natural crease shifted even slightly higher or lower? Once you actually know your current eye shape, rather than the one you remember from decades ago, you can adjust your entire line to work with your face as it is now, instead of continuing to fight against an old blueprint that simply no longer matches reality. Mistake number 7. Ignoring the waterline entirely or darkening it. And here we are, the final one, and it's the quiet one, the mistake almost nobody ever talks about openly. Some women skip their waterline completely, which is perfectly fine and not a mistake at all on its own. But others make the exact opposite mistake, applying a dark liner right along that delicate inner rim, believing it will add intensity and drama to the eye. On a mature eye specifically, a dark waterline very often does the complete opposite of what you're hoping for. It visually shrinks the entire eye, and it adds shadow in exactly the one place you don't need any more shadow at all. Instead, try switching to a soft nude or a warm, ivory-toned liner along your lower waterline. I know it sounds like such a small, almost insignificant step on paper, but it genuinely brightens the white of the eye, opens up the entire look dramatically, and functions almost like a quiet reset button for tired-looking eyes. Pair this one small change with everything else we've covered today, and the overall difference is no longer subtle at all. It becomes the kind of change other people notice immediately, the kind where someone says you look so refreshed today, without being able to quite put their finger on exactly why. So let's recap everything quickly because I genuinely want this to stick with you long after this video ends, not just entertain you for the last several minutes. Keep your lower lash line to the outer third only. Taper your top line gradually from thin to slightly bolder as you move outward. Trade harsh black for softer tones along your bottom lash line. Lift your wing upward and outward instead of following the natural downward droop. Steady your hand by gently smoothing the lid top before you draw. Regularly reassess your actual current eye shape instead of relying on old habits from decades ago. And brighten your waterline with a soft nude instead of darkening it. None of these 7 changes require buying new products. None of them require significantly more time in the morning. They simply require doing what you're already doing, just slightly differently with a little more intention behind each step. That really is the secret behind almost everything we talk about on this channel. Elegance after 60 was never about doing more. It has always been about doing the right small things consistently day after day. If this video helped you see your own eyeliner routine a little differently today, that is exactly why I make these videos in the first place. So please do me one more favor before you go. Like this video so more women your age can discover it too. Drop a comment below telling me which mistake you're planning to fix first thing tomorrow morning. And if you're not subscribed yet, now truly is the perfect time, because next week we're tackling another quiet styling habit that ages so many of us without our ever noticing it happening. Thank you so much genuinely for spending this time with me today. You are beautiful, you are entirely capable of looking exactly as sharp and put together as you already feel on the inside. And I will see you in the very next one.